Crawford's got to hurry. Oh, no. Jesperson, half-court lead for the win. Jesperson knows it. Jenkinson through for the win. Gone. He did it. Freeze through did it. Jenkins for the championship. There's the pass to Leitner. Puts it up. Yes! The time, 18. Shot. Jordan. Michael Jordan. 14 seconds. Brown. Look outside. This is the point where he always hits it. Oh! Aaron Harrison beyond belief.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of At Large Bid. We are on episode 6 here. And, of course, today we got our NCAA tournament bracket reactions. We got a little bit of a recap of conference tournament play and everything like that. I am Parker Fields here, as always, with my co-host Neil Meyer. And we're going to be covering everything college basketball today. Get you ready for the tournament, get you prepared for this. And we'll have another video later this week, likely after those first-round matchups, to talk a little bit about what happened during the first round of the tournament and everything like that. And then we'll be back Monday to cover who's in the Sweet 16 and all that stuff. But without further ado, Neil, how are you doing today, my guy?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Doing pretty good. Really excited for the tournament here. As a Kentucky fan, you know, I was hyped about the 6 seed. I thought we were going to be like an 8 seed. Don't understand how Texas A&M was a lower seed than us. But I'm not complaining.
Yeah, no, most definitely. You can't be complaining in your situation there, Parker. Obviously, you're a big Kentucky guy. I like that. I love that matchup for Kentucky. I don't like it. I love that matchup for Kentucky. I think Kentucky could really make that nice little run in that region as well. So, overall, I love that matchup for Kentucky.
Yeah, I think we kind of fleeced the bracket, not going to lie, because I was kind of like thinking we were going to be an 8 seed. At best, 7. Like, I didn't think we were going to be a 6 seed. Because 6 seed was what we were projected before we lost to Vandy. So I was like, all right, we're going to be a 7 or 8. We lost to freaking Vandy. I mean, Vandy's not horrible, but, like, it's not a good loss in your first game of the conference tournament. But, yeah, I mean, I'll take it. I want to talk a little bit about the conference tournament play, just talk a little bit about teams that, you know, maybe cemented their spot in the NCAA tournament by their conference tournament play. But I think we should go more in depth with the bracket than with the field, rather than talk more about like each game individually in the conference tournament and everything like that. So let's talk a little bit about just what are some teams that you think kind of cemented their spot in the tournament with their conference tournament play?
Yeah, I'll start off. This is a team I saw firsthand over the last 5 days in Fort Worth. I'm going to go with the Memphis Tigers. They're playing their best ball of the season. Kendrick Davis is arguably one of the top guards in all of college basketball. He was a third-team All-American. I mean, we saw what he did over that 3-game span, broke the American Athletic Conference tournament scoring record, finished with 84 points in 3 games. Him and DeAndre Williams have been turning things up lately for Memphis. And I mean, I saw it firsthand. Their victory over Wichita, or it was UCF, their victory over UCF.
Yeah, UCF.
Memphis had 81 points. They beat them 81-76, I believe, if I remember right. Kendrick Davis and DeAndre Williams combined for 68 of those 81 points. 68. 35 coming from DeAndre, 33 coming from Kendrick Davis. And I mean, man, when Kendrick Davis gets going, he's not one to talk. I've heard it in press conferences with him all week. He said, I don't like the talking. I just like to hoop. And he goes, when you guys talk crazy, I'm going to show you what crazy is. And I'm going to go put buckets. And I mean, that's exactly what he did this weekend. Finished with 31 points in yesterday's win over number 1 seeded Houston. Obviously, that was a Houston team without Marcus Sasser, AAC Player of the Year. However, the way Memphis was playing yesterday, I don't really think, Marcus Sasser makes a difference in that game, but Memphis was just absurdly good yesterday. Like, they played their best game of the season. They played their best game as of all season. Like, they've been getting hot at the right time. They were a bubble team about 2.5-3 weeks ago. They were a bubble team, like looking out outside looking.
8 seed.
Yeah, now they're an 8 seed. They'll play FAU, Florida Atlantic University on Friday, which is a great matchup for them, obviously, now that both of those guys will be in the American next year. But overall, like, Memphis is getting hot right now, and it starts with Kendrick Davis.
Yeah, man, and something that really impressed me about Memphis over the weekend was that freaking dominant win over Tulane. They absolutely dominated Tulane. What'd they end up winning by 40?
It was a 40 ball, 94 to
Did
54.
Tulane end up getting in the NIT?
Nope.
Yeah, that probably hurt. Seriously, that probably hurt from them getting in the NIT. That game was rough. A 40 bomb in the semifinals of the tournament when all season you guys have been pretty similar record-wise and you know what I mean? They've been pretty similar.
This was a Tulane team that had beat Memphis both times this season.
Yeah,
but what was crazy too is obviously like fatigue played a role into that factor because Tulane had Wichita State late Friday night. I think it was like by the time pressers and the game ended over, it was like 11. I would say like 11 Central Time. So by the time pressers, they didn't get out of the arena till like 12:30 Central Time, which was
that's tough.
And then they had to turn around and do that thing right again. And Ron Hunter told us that following the game to Memphis, that they woke up and he could kind of see fatigue in the players. So that kind of played a role. Obviously, a quick turnaround, but that Memphis team's a very good Memphis team. But I was not expecting a 40 ball versus a very good Tulane team that has 3 guys averaging 20 points a game.
Yeah, 100%, man. And for me, the first school that I want to talk about that really, really improved their stock over the weekend was Penn State, obviously. That team likely would not have gotten into the tournament if they didn't make that run. What seed did they end up getting? Do you know?
Penn State, I think they got a 10.
Okay, yeah. There was a good chance. Like, they had to win at least a couple games to get in. If they would have got bounced first round, they probably weren't getting in. And honestly, they probably took Rutgers' spot in the tournament by making a deep run, and Rutgers not. This Penn State team was really impressive over the weekend. And yeah, dude, they really played well. They almost beat Purdue after being down 17 with 6 minutes left. They went into that full court press, full court trap, whatever you want to call it, and they absolutely were just getting steal after steal because Purdue, as you saw if you watched the Big Ten tournament this weekend, can't break a damn press to save their life. They almost lost to Rutgers because they couldn't break a press and almost blew a big-time lead to Rutgers. And then they almost did it again just 2 days later. And that's what's crazy to me. Like, how the hell do you guys not know how to break a press? Like, seriously. You're a high-level program, and you're a number 1 seed in the whole NCAA tournament, and you can't break a press, which is really rough. And it kind of made me think less of Purdue. Not really Purdue, like, overall, like, with Gillis and Edey, and of course Edey, but it made me think less of their guard play. And I mean, I wasn't really impressed with their guard play all season, but it made me think even less of their guard play because that was really just unimpressive.
Yeah, no, as you mentioned, Purdue's guard play it's what's keeping this team back from being a number 1 seed. Their guard play has been so high and then so low this season. Like, beginning of the year, their guard play was nice. It was above average guard play, but as of late, like, dude, you can't break a press, like, especially in this time of year, like, dude, teams going to be sending that press at you left and right. If you can't find a way to break it, teams are going to do it. We saw it in the Big Ten tournament, and I guarantee you that they will see a press versus Texas Southern or FDU, Fairleigh Dickinson, come through in that first round game because, hey, they probably watched the film on them. However, I will say if Purdue makes it to the round of 32 with a team like Memphis, good luck beating a press versus Memphis. Good luck.
Call me crazy. Purdue just has fraud written all over it in my eyes.
Nope. I'm there with you.
I think there's some frauds. I'm not going to lie. I think they're a team, like you said, that if they play Memphis in the round of 32, there's a good shot Memphis beats them. And don't be shocked if in the first round they're not, I don't think they're going to lose, but don't be shocked if, they get pushed a little bit. It's not a 40-point blowout like you'd expect. Don't be shocked if they hang around for a little bit because Purdue, I mean, they've really struggled during this conference tournament. And I know they won. A major conference tournament, and you might think, oh, you guys are idiots. Why the hell are you saying this after they literally won their tournament? But there was just some red flags that popped up, and they got a really easy draw in their conference tournament. because a lot of other Big Ten teams got upset. So they didn't really play the biggest and baddest Big Ten squads. They had Ohio State in the semis, who was we called, by the way, or I called, I don't know which one, but I remember saying on the pod that I thought Ohio State was going to make it to at least the quarterfinals. They ended up making it to the semis. And Ohio State pushed them a little bit, and then they ended up playing was Penn State the 12 seed in their tournament?
Yeah, Penn State was at the bottom of the.
Ohio State was 13. Penn State was 12, I think. And Penn State put up a fight against them as well, or really almost won, not just a fight. They almost won and pulled off a crazy upset, which was, tough to see. And it's just like blowing leads is scary because when you're playing the really good teams, when you're playing a squad like Memphis, I don't think Memphis is going to blow that shot. Or hell, even FAU, if FAU beats Memphis and they play them, I don't think FAU would, blow a shot if they get in striking range.
And the reason I agree with your statement there for one, but the reason I say Memphis will give that team trouble, Alex Lomax is arguably one of the best defenders, not within just the American, but within college basketball.
Mm-hmm.
We saw it all season long when he was healthy. Obviously, he was dealing with a groin injury. But, man, his performance yesterday versus Houston was phenomenal on the defensive end. I mean, it just felt like Tremont Mark, Jamal Shed, Terrence Arsenault, like their pockets were just getting picked. And that's what Alex Lomax is so good. Memphis is so good with their hands in defense. Like they're so good with their hands. They're very active. Kendrick Davis as well is very active with his hands. But Kendrick Davis is so smooth and silky and like shifty with the ball in his hands. But Alex Lomax's defensive pressure will cause a lot of fits for Purdue if they get that matchup. And I mean, I saw it yesterday. We saw the quote from Alex Lomax after talking to his game. After talking to him after the AAC championship game, we asked him, we said, hey, you kind of made a gesture there after you picked Jamal Shed's pocket, went back for an and one. We all saw the gesture. I'm not going to say what the gesture was, but we asked him about it, and he gave us what he had told, screamed and said on the court, and he said, I got big nuts. And that was the quote from Alex Lomax following the and one.
What a quote.
So overall, I mean, Alex Lomax's defense, Kendrick Davis, then you throw DeAndre Williams in there, and then you have other guards. Like, dude, that Memphis backcourt would give Purdue fits if they play that team in the round of 32. And I mean fits.
100%. And if Purdue this season, the way Zach Edey's been all season, how dominant he's been, if you had Jaden Ivey on this squad, they'd be scary.
Yeah, they'd be scary.
Sadly, Ivey was on the team last year when Edey was still really good, but he wasn't this guy.
Yeah, if Ivey was on this squad this year and he returned, I think if Ivey stayed, Purdue, easy contender for number one. However,
or even if Ivey was just born a year later and was a freshman this year.
However, let's talk about a team me and you both know very well about. What's your thoughts on Houston? How do you think they go heading into the conference tournament, and what could they do to get to the Final Four that not only as they are the number 2 overall seed in the tournament, obviously they're coming off a loss to Memphis, but they might have the opportunity to run to the Final Four in their backyard at Houston. So what's your overall thoughts there on Parker on Houston?
Obviously, the school I attend, NKU, is going to beat them by 30 in the first round. No, I'm just playing. So for Houston, they got a pretty good draw. Like you got Iowa or Auburn in that 1-8 match.
In the round of 32.
They should be able to whoop either of them. Auburn is not very good. And Iowa, we all know, can't play a lick of defense. They never can. They can score, but Houston's an elite defensive team, and Houston's going to lock that up. And yeah, they're going to win that game. I don't think they have a problem getting to the Sweet 16. I really don't. But then it gets a little bit trickier when you get into the Sweet 16, but it's still not like you'd face Miami or Indiana, which, I mean, still are two kind of favorable matchups for the way Houston plays. But I think Texas is the team that give them trouble because I really do think that Houston's kind of got a nice draw to the Elite Eight. I really do think that. I don't know about you, but like looking at their bracket, like I think Texas is really the only team like that will really give them trouble. I take that back. I think Texas A&M could give them trouble too if Texas A&M advances. I do.
Yeah,
But
no.
to beat Houston, you got to be a physical team. Seriously, you got to have strong big guards. You got to be physical. You got to be athletic. And like Indiana, I don't know if they can do that. Even though Indiana's a really good team, I don't know if they can just body up on Houston as much as.
I
And
do
that's the
like
same
that.
thing with Xavier. I think Xavier is not physical enough to beat Houston at all. I think Houston will beat Xavier because just literally lack of physicality.
Yeah. Now, whether it is Xavier, Texas A&M, or even Indiana that gives that matchup for Houston
Or
within
Texas.
or Texas within that Midwest region. Obviously, I think it's going to be Houston, Texas in the what would that be? Elite Eight.
But
Yeah.
in all likelihood, it's probably not going to be that matchup. It usually isn't the 1-2. It usually isn't. So it probably won't be that. But
Yeah, that's my prediction, though. I think Texas is a very good team. Obviously, they've been up and down, though. They've had some losses there in the Big 12, but I think for Houston, it comes back to, obviously, I was at the AAC tournament. The Marcus Sasser injury happened right in front of me. I think I had one of the best looks at the injury. It didn't look good. Definitely doesn't look good anytime a player goes down with a non-contact injury. But, however, within 12, it was roughly 18 hours later, Marcus Sasser is going through warm-ups with Houston yesterday morning. I was there reporting on it. Obviously, from the expectation, like, after it happened, he didn't return to Cincinnati, the game versus Cincinnati. But then Marcus Sasser comes out, goes through warm-ups. But in the end, it was probably the smartest decision for Kelvin Sampson, even though it did result in a loss, was to rest Marcus Sasser. From the tweets and whatnot I've seen, sounds like Sasser is expected to be able to give it a go versus NKU. But losing a guy like Marcus Sasser is a huge impact. But this is a Houston team that can get very inconsistent shooting. And I've seen it 2 times this week. I saw it versus ECU. There's no reason that ECU should dominate the glass versus a Houston team. No. Ezra Asar was a guy who had 7 or 8 offers coming out of high school, and he went up and put 18 and 19 on Houston. Like, outplayed Jerace Walker. Jerace Walker just went 2 for 9 from the field that game. But the thing, ECU gave Houston a run for their money, and I didn't think I would be saying that. But then ultimately, Houston turned it on late to win by 13 or 14. But we saw how they shot yesterday at Memphis. They shot just 31% from the field. Like, it's up and down stretches for Houston. Obviously, they came back there late yesterday, but this Houston team has been, from what I've seen in the last 3 days, like, obviously they're very good defensively, very good guard play, very good length, very active on defense, like to pressure the ball. However, if you can't get anything going on offense, it's going to be tough.
Yeah, if I was Houston, honestly, I would make Sasser active versus NKU, but I don't even know if I would like keep him on the bench. And if the game starts off early and you're up like 15-2, just keep him on the bench the whole game. That's what I would do, honestly. Like, have him active in case you need him, but I wouldn't, go full bore on him yet, because I think they should be able to beat NKU without him. I would hope. They could beat NKU without him.
Yeah, I'm there with you, but it was a positive sign. Like I said, that injury happened right in front of me. It was a positive sign to even see him out there warming up in duress.
Did he look fine, like running and stuff?
He looked fine. I didn't see him do much like live running, like full
But just like jogging and stuff, he looked good.
I saw him do some jogging. I saw him do some light work, some lateral stuff, but I didn't see him do too much running. However, I watched him go through warm-ups, and he was letting that thing fly, and he was knocking them down. So
yeah,
I think if they give him the over the night treatment for the next week, I think we see him Thursday. But however, I'm in the same boat as you are. If they're up big at NKU, you just rest the kid. You do.
Yeah, I agree. Now let's get into some upset alerts that we could see happening this week. So let's talk a little bit about some matchups that we think could be upsets. I'll go first. I think Furman could give Virginia trouble.
I'm there with you.
Furman's a good team. I watched them play in their conference championship. I'm not going to sit here and act like I was watching Furman games all year long, but I watched them in their conference championship. They looked really good, and they got some good players on their team. And Virginia, as we know, I don't think Virginia's even capable of beating a team in the NCAA tournament by more than like 5 points. So the game's going to be close. It's whether or not Furman can pull out late, because We all know Virginia can't blow anybody out. They score 50
can't.
points. How the hell are you going to blow somebody out if you score 50 points a game?
Dude, they scored 50 points in the AAC final. Like,
yeah, they're so boring. It's like
their offense is just awful.
atrocious.
Like, I hate to say it, they're awful. Like, so slow. Like, come on, you can't go into March averaging 50 points a game. You can't. And this is a team, like, we've seen them go up and down all throughout the last month and a half there in the AP polls. They're currently sitting at 15. I don't think they should be 15. I think they should be on the lower end of like 18, 19 range, but we'll see how they get this matchup.
Yeah, but I think that could be bad. The one that's screaming out at me that this is going to be an upset, 100%. And I would honestly take their money line. Like if I had to put my life depending on it, I would take this team over the other team.
Are you thinking the same
VCU
one I'm thinking?
over St. Mary's. That 5-12 we know is the trap game. Like that is always upsets. They're usually every year, like 2 of the 4 games usually go 5-12. Like 5 beats 12 usually.
And what's crazy?
There's been years it's been 3-4. Like 3 of the teams win, and like VCU's good, and St. Mary's really isn't that good.
VCU's riding a conference championship too, and St. Mary's, yeah, they have the
40-point loss or whatever.
Yeah, and they have St. Mary's has the win versus Gonzaga, but I mean, it's back to the conversation Parker and I had earlier.
How good's Gonzaga? They don't play anybody.
Gonzaga, like we've had this talk on earlier episodes of the at-large bid here, but reality, it's like one of those conversations. Like, who have they played? You know what I mean? Like that conference is Gonzaga and St. Mary's. That's who the WCC runs through. Like
they have a W over Oral Roberts. I didn't know. That's a good dub.
That's a good dub. That is a good dub. However, if you look down,
St. Mary's ain't good. They're not good. I'm sorry. I think how many years? Like I don't know the history of the track record, but I feel like every single year St. Mary's is like a 5 or 6 and loses.
Yeah,
like every year. It's like, oh my god. At some point, are you not tired of putting this freaking team of like 7th-year seniors who do nothing ever in the NCAA tournament in the tournament?
And then you're looking down. If VCU or St. Mary's beats VCU, they would play either the winner of UConn or Iona. I'm fairly certain it's going to be UConn.
I wouldn't say that, dude. I've watched Iona like multiple times this year, and they got Rick Pitino, dude. He is a hell of a coach. Hell of a coach. Don't sleep on Nelly Joseph Jr. Their big man center is a dog. He will give Sonogo problems. I would not be shocked if he outplays Sonogo, but like easily outplays him.
Yeah, that's another fun matchup to talk. Me personally, I like UConn's favor. I like their guard play a little bit better than Iona's. I think that would be a game maybe where Tristan Newton could kind of pop off. But if UConn beats Iona and St. Mary's wins, UConn.
I just don't think St. Mary's is going to win. I'll be real. Yeah. I really don't.
If St. Mary's does happen to advance to the round of 32 versus a team like UConn, if they choose to advance, I'm taking UConn riding with me to the Sweet 16.
Yeah, 100%. I'm right there with you, dude. I'm definitely right there with you. We didn't talk about when we were talking about Virginia, the fact that Virginia literally is the biggest, besides the one year they won the national championship, they are the biggest frauds ever.
Yep.
They're the only 16 seed to ever lose to a 1 seed, first of all. Mm-hmm. They every single year were a 1 seed for like 5 straight years and lost before the Sweet 16. Or maybe Sweet 16, and that was the farthest they got. And then they ended up breaking through and winning it the next year after the loss to the 16 seed. But Virginia is a known fraudulent team, maybe even more than Gonzaga.
Nope, I'm right there with you. I am right there with you. But overall, I don't think Virginia goes far in this tournament. I do not.
No, I don't either.
Now let's look at some other matchups there. Obviously, a matchup me personally I think could be a really fun one to watch. Obviously, Charleston versus San Diego State. That 5 versus 12 matchup, as we talked about. However, Charleston can't defend the 3 to save their life. They cannot. This is a horrible matchup for Charleston. Even though they are 31-3 on the season, this is a awful draw for Charleston. I don't know what your thoughts 100%. There are, Parker, but this is an awful draw for Charleston.
Yeah, I think they just got a bad draw, honestly. Like, if they got St. Mary's, dude, 5-12, I think they'd be a lot more confident than what they are.
Yeah, no, most definitely agree with you there. And we mentioned I'm looking down at the bracket as we speak. I'm looking at we touched on that East region there with Kentucky earlier. That Kentucky, that East region has a lot of talent in there. Now that I'm looking at it, you got Purdue, Memphis, Duke, Oral Roberts, Tennessee, who we are not a fan of, as we have discussed on this show. We think their offense is not very good. And
I'm
then you got
looking at it real quick. Sorry. I'm looking at it. Last year, high seed. UCLA was the 11th seed. They whooped St. Mary's in the
you're still on St. Mary's.
I'm just going back to see if I'm right about them getting upset all the time, and I am.
Yeah. But yeah, so we're looking down at the east side of this bracket, heading into March. You look down, you see Purdue, you see Memphis, you see Duke. Oral Roberts has a very good team. Max Abmas is obviously one of the best point guards in all of college basketball, as we have talked about on this show. Tennessee, I like that 4-13 matchup. And I would not, me and Parker talked about this off the record before this show, but now we're going to talk about it on the record. Louisiana, how are we feeling about that upset there, Parker?
I think Louisiana can definitely go and get that W. I really do.
I'm right there with you.
Tennessee's kind of a Virginia squad. I don't really know much about Louisiana, but they always tend to, when they're in the tournament, like put up a fight. They're just one of those teams, and I definitely think they can do work and get that W. I'm looking at that real quick. St. Mary's has been in the tournament 5 times in the last 6 years or 7 years. Well, 6 because 1 year doesn't count, COVID. They would have been in it that year, though. They've won 1 game. Get this team. Quit putting this team as a 5 seed, y'all. Come on. Do better.
Now, Parker, let's take a trip over to the west side of the bracket here. Obviously, Kansas is the number 1 overall seed, but this Kansas team's playing. Obviously, Kansas's resume states for themselves 15 quad 1 wins. However, you're looking down at a Howard team that just came off and won their conference. This is not an easy Howard team. This is a good Howard team.
Mm-hmm.
However, I'm curious. I like that, but I think Kansas gets it done, but I expect it to be a kind of a closer game than a lot of people anticipate.
Yeah, this Howard team is pretty good. I did get to watch some film on them. They're a pretty good squad, and they could definitely give Kansas some trouble. Kansas is another squad that has a history of they do. They have a history of either getting upset in the first 2 rounds or make it all the way to the Final Four. I feel like Kansas does one of 2. Am I wrong to say that? I feel like that's pretty consistent. Kansas tends to get choke, or they go and get a dub, like go all the way. That is usually what Kansas does. And this could definitely be a trap game that could be a little worrisome. The crazy thing is we're talking about these 1-16 matchups. Like they're all going to be like, oh, this team's going to dominate. At least one of these is going to be close. It always is. At least one of these is going to be a fight. It's only one team has only won it ever, but there's always close games in this.
Yeah, and we talk about that 1-16 matchup there on the west side of the bracket. But for Kansas's road, it wouldn't be easy. Illinois has had a decent year there in the Big Ten, and then Arkansas, who has all the talent in the world, and then just couldn't put it together this year. At the 8-9 matchup there, obviously Arkansas is the 8 seed, Illinois is the 9. However, if it is me personally, I think Arkansas takes the first one, and then a Kansas-Arkansas matchup, that would be a very fun game to watch for many reasons.
Yeah, 100%. It would definitely be a really fun game, and it definitely would be a really good matchup for sure. I wanted to talk a little bit about. I want to pull the bracket up again. NCAA. There we go. All right, I wanted to pull up the bracket a little bit again. Talk about another upset that I saw here earlier that I definitely think could be an upset. Is Duke Oral Roberts? We haven't talked about that yet. Oral Roberts did not get the best draw. Duke is not the best 5 seed to play. However, I think Oral Roberts could definitely put up a fight in this matchup because Duke has been playing amazing, and I think they should not have been a 5 seed. I don't know about you, Neil. I think they kind of got screwed after winning the ACC tournament and everything like that. Kind of think they should have been a 4, but they did get a 5, and I think Oral Roberts could definitely give them trouble, as this Oral Roberts team is no joke, of course.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. I think Duke should have been a 4 seed. Obviously, they win the AAC. They're now the highest they've been all season in the AP polls that came out earlier today. They're now sitting at 12. So realistically, you're doing the math. You're like, yeah,
they're a 3 seed. They should be a 3 seed if that's how it works.
Yeah.
The lowest
realistically,
3
like,
seed.
yeah, if that's how it worked, they're like, yeah, Duke should be a 3 seed. But no, they got a 5 seed versus a very good Oral Roberts team who has a history of playing upset here in the month of March. That we saw it in 2021. Max Abmas went nuts, took over, led the Oral Roberts squad to the Sweet 16. Me personally, that is a very fun matchup to watch. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite matchups of the first week or the first week. I'm definitely going to be watching this game, like 100%. I'm going to find a way to be sitting on a couch watching that game for sure. Like this is definitely going to be a good matchup, and I'm excited to watch that one. 100% excited to watch that one. Just looking at other, upset ideas here. I think Indiana could get upset because I don't think Indiana is that good, to be honest. UConn Iona. Iona's a really good team. They definitely could make some noise against UConn. I think UConn's going to pull that game out. I do think it'll be close, though. I do think it's going to be close. I don't really consider 7-10, 6-11 as much upsets because they're still high major schools usually is what both teams are. So, like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't consider that, like, a crazy big upset. I feel like 5-12 and then to 1-16 are, like, the upsets, honestly. I mean, how do you feel about Marquette?
Oh, I think Marquette is easily going to take Vermont.
Yeah.
But that round of 32 team it's going to be a tough one for Marquette. Obviously, USC is.
Bro, if you got to play Michigan State or USC, that's not an easy matchup.
It's not an easy matchup, especially with Tom Izzo and the history he has here in March Madness. But
Tom Izzo's one of those coaches that is a lot better when he's like a 7 seed. I swear. They always make runs when they're lower. But when they're like a 1 or 2, I feel like Michigan State always gets upset. But like when they're like a 7, 8 seed, Tom Izzo always goes on a run.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. I mean, Marquette's going to have a tough run. I mean, looking down at that bracket there in the East region. So they win there. Say they win, get to the round of 32, they'll have to go through Michigan or USC, and then they would either have to go through Kentucky or Providence or Kansas State.
I must say this. Don't call me crazy. Don't be shocked if there is one. I wouldn't even throw it out of the picture. Don't be shocked if there is one team alive in the Big East after this weekend. And I don't be shocked if there's not any. I'm going to be real. I think that all those teams have a good shot at getting upset. I'm going to be real. None of them have an easy draw to the Sweet 16. UConn is the team that I'm most confident can make a run. I don't really see a run out of Marquette because their bracket's so tough.
Yeah.
Those lower seeds are so tough. I think they're going to beat them. I think Michigan State will beat Marquette. I really do.
Yeah, Michigan or USC is definitely a tough.
Yeah, USC too. Yeah,
it's definitely a tough draw there for Marquette. But then you're looking down, like you have Kentucky and Providence there, a potential Sweet 16 matchup. Obviously, Kansas State's a good team, but say Kansas State gets Kentucky, I think everybody knows that matchup's going to be a Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
But say Marquette makes it to the Sweet 16 versus Kentucky, I think we see Kentucky in the Elite 8 if that is the matchup. I think Kentucky's size and physicality will be the over-the-top factor there for the upset versus Marquette.
Yeah, 100%. And, I mean, you look at Tom Izzo's track record. The guy's made a lot of Final Fours and Elite 8s. So it's going to be tough. It's definitely going to be tough. I'm just looking at it right here. Lost in the national semifinal a year. They lost 11 games. So I guarantee you they were not a high seed, especially back then when feels like nowadays there's a lot more high loss teams that are in the tournament because they take more strength of schedule and stuff like that. Whereas back in the day, it wasn't as much of that and everything like that. So yeah, dude, it's going to be exciting in that bracket for sure. And Xavier's going to have a tough ride too, the Sweet 16.
Yeah, I'm there with you.
Xavier's going to have a tough ride. Creighton.
Xavier's going to have a tough ride to Sweet 16 because Iowa State's very good team. Obviously, the record might not stand for it, but they got some big.
They're in the Big 12.
Yeah. They got some
And-
dominant wins. They have
And
a win
Creighton will
over
have
Baylor.
Baylor. Creighton will have Baylor. I don't think they're beating Baylor. I mean, Creighton's gonna have a hard time beating NC State. NC State's a good team.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, you're talking about that side of the bracket there in the South region. Alabama is going to have arguably the hardest road to the national championship. And I mean, you're looking down. Alabama got stuck in the side of the bracket that has Arizona at the 2 seed, Baylor as the 3, Virginia as
Mizzou is
the
a
4.
7. Mizzou's a good team.
Mizzou's a very good team. And I mean, you look down, NC State even at an 11 seed. Like West Virginia has turned it on a notch lately. Like Alabama arguably is not making it out of that. I don't think they make it out of Sweet 16.
I don't
Elite Eight.
either, dude. I really don't either. I'm be real. I don't either.
I mean, I've said it all year who my favorite was to win the national title, and I'm sticking right by it. Even with how the bracket is, I'm not going to change my predictions. Arizona's going to come out of that side of the bracket.
All right. I like it.
Arizona will come out of that side of the bracket, and it showed this weekend. They got a key win over UCLA in the Pac-12 championship. However, it was a 2-point win, a two-point takeaway from early in the game. Amari Bailey put that dude on an absolute poster. That was called a foul. I'm sticking with it. That game should have went to overtime. However, I got Arizona coming out of the South region.
I like it. I like it, Neil. I really do. This is gonna be fun. I want to talk about before we get out of here, though. I want to talk about it before. Biggest snubs, and then after that, well, I'll tell you in a sec. But go ahead. Who's your biggest snub? We'll each give one.
My biggest snub, Rutgers.
Yeah, that's
and
what
my
I was
reason.
thinking.
My reason for that. My reason for the biggest snub of Rutgers. They're playing in the Big Ten for one, but you're looking down at their record, right? Their worst loss in conference play was that 1-point loss to Ohio State. But then they fell to Miami by 7. Miami's in. But you're looking down at their rosters like, dude, they have key wins over Indiana, Purdue, Maryland, Northwestern, and Penn State, all who are within the NCAA tournament. Purdue being a 1 seed. That's a key thing. But I think the ultimate decider that kept Rutgers out of the NCAA tournament was the fact, A, they have a horrible loss to Minnesota on their record, like an absolute horrible loss. Minnesota has been a very bad team this year, but they lost 7 of their last 10 games. That was probably the factor right there for the committee to keep Rutgers out, despite having those very big wins over teams like Purdue, Indiana, Maryland, Northwestern, and Penn State, who have all climbed and are now sitting in the tournament field.
A team I'm going to talk about is Clemson. They had a really good case if you just look at their wins. They had some horrible losses is what kept them out of the tournament. And I see why. I mean, they had losses to Louisville. That is just horrendous. A loss to Louisville is horrendous. They had a neutral site 20-point loss to Loyola Chicago, who only won 10 games this year. This isn't the Sister Jean squad from a few years ago. This is not the same Loyola Chicago team. So that was a bad loss. They didn't have a very high strength of schedule as the ACC really struggled this year. However, this team only lost 10 games, 23 wins, and you're not in the tournament playing in the ACC. It's pretty mind-blowing. They finished 3rd in the conference. I mean, they were really dominant in the ACC. They won a lot of good wins. They had 3 quad 1 wins outside, not at home. Like on the road, they had 3 quad 1 wins, and it's impressive. They had a really good season, and I don't think their losses should have held them back as much as they did because their wins should have outweighed it, in my opinion. But they didn't get in, so it is what it is. I'm not a Clemson fan. They got football.
Yeah, and most definitely, I'm there with you. Clemson definitely got snubbed. This was also a Clemson team that was in the top 25 for
most of the year.
Most of the year. So it's pretty crazy to think that they got snubbed as well.
Yeah, that's tough. It's definitely tough for them, especially, I mean, winning 23 games and playing in the ACC and not making the tournament is pretty hard to do. That's tough, honestly.
It is.
But yeah, Now let's get into the last thing I wanted to talk about today. Give me your NCAA tournament prediction. Who's going to win it? Just give me quick who's going to win it, and give me a team that you think can make a run, a low seed that you don't be shocked if they make it to the Elite Eight, the Sweet 16.
Yeah, so as I touched earlier, I've been saying this since I've been scouting this Arizona team since the Maui Invitational when UC played them. I really like Arizona for multiple reasons. Their guard play is phenomenal. Kara Kursa is phenomenal. Courtney Ramey is a fantastic guard. But then you have their bigs, Omar Ballo and Azulis Tabelis. Both Tabelis is making a case for Player of the Year, National Player of the Year. However, Arizona is a very good team, and we have seen it. We have seen it. They lost to UCLA in the regular season. They come back. They get the win here in the conference tournament, a 4-8. They're building momentum. I think they got a great draw for them. However, I know that South region is absolutely loaded between Bama, Arizona, Baylor, Virginia. But me personally, I think Arizona can really get by Baylor there in the Sweet 16 to advance to the Elite Eight. And I think Arizona can upset Alabama there. So I think most importantly, I would have to say my take right now is Arizona. I've been saying it all year. I'm not going to change it now. But the one team that I really think could make a run in this tournament, I'm looking at the bracket as we speak. But man, there's a lot of good teams to think. But I'm gonna go with it. I'm gonna go with what you said, Parker. I'm gonna go Texas A&M out of the Midwest.
I like that. I really do like that. I like that a lot. That's a good pick right there. For me, my NCAA tournament prediction, who I think is going to win it, I'm going to be honest. So here's how I'm going to do this real quick. I'm going to do a process of elimination here real quick. I don't think Alabama's winning the title. I don't. It's one of those things where I know you probably feel the same way. It's hard to just imagine Alabama basketball cutting down the nets. And that sounds crazy, like that's stupid, whatever, but like it's tough to imagine. And I just think their team is just gonna they're in the toughest, they got the toughest bracket. I don't know. It's not looking too great for them. I don't think Purdue's gonna win it, and I don't think Houston's gonna win it. And there's only one seed left. However, I don't think they're gonna win it. Kansas. I don't think Kansas is going back to back. That is so tough to do in college basketball. And you took Arizona, and that's a good pick. I definitely like that pick. But I got a different pick for today. I haven't really thought too much about it until now. I just got me on the spot, and I'm really thinking about it. I'm gonna go with UCLA to win the national tournament or national championship this year. Call me crazy, but I'm gonna run it with UCLA just because I want to be different. I don't want to take a 1 seed because that's just boring. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I will say it will be tough for UCLA because they lost Jalen Clark for the rest of the season.
It will. I know Jalen Clark's out. I know. However, I want to be different with my pick, honestly. I don't want to pick one of the obviously if I'm just gonna take brains, I would go Kansas. I really that's who I would take, just based off who I think's gonna win. However, I want to be a little different, I want to spice it up a little bit.
UCLA does have a nice little.
They got a nice backcourt. They got Jaime Jaquez Jr. is a beast.
Amari Bailey's now back fully healthy.
Bailey, yeah, they got a good squad.
I will say that poster dunk the other night from Amari Bailey was not a foul. I'm sticking by. I don't know if you've seen it, Parker.
That was so bad. Bad.
It was dude got body bagged. Dude got body put on a poster and
then you want to hear my sleeper?
Let's hear it.
Memphis, Michigan State, USC, or Kentucky. Or Duke. Whoever the hell of those lower seeds, because I think one of them is coming out of that region. Dead ass. I think Duke, Kentucky, Michigan State, or USC is going to make a deep run. I don't think Tennessee, the top seeds in that are less scary than the bottom seeds. It's so weird.
Yeah.
Would you be more scared to play Kansas State or Kentucky? I'd be more scared of Kentucky. Seriously.
Kentucky, yeah. Absolutely.
Marquette or Duke. I'd be more scared of Duke. Seriously.
Especially in March.
It's the March factor. These schools their coaches have been there. These schools have been there. They know. Shire hasn't been there yet, but he's been on the bench with Krzyzewski there.
Yeah, right.
And it's just I trust these coaches in March, and I really do. And I think one of these schools is gonna make a run, really. Like Michigan State, Duke, USC, Kentucky, or Memphis. And Memphis. I like Memphis a lot too. I think Memphis could make a Final Four run as an 8 seed.
I
I'm
like
not
that
saying
statement.
it's gonna happen, but I think it's possible.
It's definitely possible. I like that statement.
Am I crazy to think, like, if I had to put my life on it, I'd put my faith in those teams over Purdue, Marquette, Tennessee, or Kansas State? I don't think I'm crazy.
I don't think you are either.
I think a low seed is coming out of that bracket. When I fill out my bracket, I'm going to have a low seed coming out of there.
I can tell you right now, no matter what matchup it is for Memphis, they're gonna pressure the hell out of you.
Oh, yeah.
On defense.
100%.
But Kendrick Davis is a walking bucket, an absolute walking bucket.
Yeah.
Although he is a little bit undersized, but man, I've seen him all year, but seeing him up close and personal the last 3 days, like what he does, and this is a Kendrick Davis who has never made the NCAA tournament, and he
from SMU
really made that known this last week when we talked to him. He goes, "I've never made the NCAA tournament.
He's gonna ball, bro's got that swagger, that March Madness. Like, bro might be the next hero of March Madness. He's got that type of vibe. He does, for sure. He's got that Carson Edwards vibe to him.
I literally watched him.
Man, talk about a show. Carson Edwards. That was a show.
It was yesterday versus Houston. 6 points in 13 seconds. Kendrick Davis.
He's nice.
Came down, bagged a 3. Next thing you know,
that was a fun game to watch yesterday.
Alex Lomax comes back, gets a steal, and Kendrick Davis pulls up for 28 feet and just cashes. And I mean, Dickey's Arena, Parker was nuts after that happened. Like, I've never seen that much energy come out of that Memphis team. Like, Houston looked deflated.
Also, sorry, go ahead. Finish.
If Memphis plays like how they played yesterday, they're making a run. And I think
they will.
You have a valid point. They could make a run to the Final Four.
Because I do too. I really do. I think one of those low seeds is going to make the run. I really think that. One thing I don't know if you mentioned it, but just look at the bracket right now. I didn't even see this before. Kansas, Arkansas, second round. That's going to be a tough game for Kansas. Arkansas is good, man. They're getting healthy at the right time. They're a good
Nick
team.
Smith, Jordan Walsh.
They were a top 5 team at certain points, like at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, heading into Maui, they were number 9.
Yeah, this is a good team that just wasn't healthy for a big portion of the season. They could make a run. This is a balanced tournament, really, because when the tournament is not balanced are the years where the 1 seeds are Duke, Kentucky, Kansas, North Carolina, and those teams just steamroll, and you get like blue bloods in the Elite 8. This year, the blue bloods are the low seeds, and the 1 seeds, these teams have never proved themselves for shit. Like, seriously. Outside of Kansas, Alabama? I said outside Kansas.
Yeah, Kansas obviously made their statement, 15 quad 1 wins.
And they're a blue blood. That's the only one. The rest of them, you got Alabama. Are you that confident in Alabama basketball? This isn't Nick Saban and the football team. This is basketball. You got Purdue. I'm not confident in Purdue. They can't break a press. And
if I think good, it's anything,
it's just these aren't premier programs at the top at all, and that's why it's like this could be a wide open tournament where you get like in the Final Four, it's like a 1 seed, a 5 seed, a 7, and a 4 or something like it. I feel like it's going to be one of those. What year was it? The year UConn, Kentucky were in the national championship, and it was a 7. UConn was a 7, and Kentucky was an 8. And they met in the national championship. I could see something like that this year, really, like maybe a 4-5 or something weird, really.
Yeah,
because there's a lot of good teams.
I'm there with you. I think if any 1 seed outside of Kansas is gonna be able to make that run, it would be Houston.
I do too. I think Houston's gonna end up at least in the Elite 8. They got a nice run.
They'll have a nice run there, but they got to go through a potential squad of either Xavier or Texas. Or even A&M.
Yeah, don't count out A&M.
Yeah, or even A&M.
I mean, Indiana could, if Indiana's on fire, they could win. They'd have to play great.
Depends what Trace Jackson Davis shows up.
Yeah.
If they get that matchup. Because let's be honest, like if that matchup comes, it's going to be a Trace Jackson Davis versus Jarace Walker show.
I will say, Trace Jackson Davis, shout out him. He put Indiana basketball, which is one of the greatest programs ever, back on the map these last few years because he's a dog. I know he is beloved in the state of Indiana. He is beloved. I mean, dude's a hell of a player, but like that guy is Jordan in Indiana. They love him. And I mean, they're one of the greatest programs ever, and they had some down years for like 4 or 5 years before he got there. And they still weren't great, but he just was that great of a player the last like 3 years or so. Before we get out of here, I want to say one thing though, because I think we've wrapped up everything. I want to say one thing, and I think you'll agree with me. I am tired of these idiot talking heads on TV, so scared of making a wrong prediction that they all have the same damn Final Four of 4 1 seeds or maybe 3 1 seeds and a 2 seed. You think nobody ever picks an upset? Do they watch March Madness? Upsets happen constantly, dude. Like, you know what I mean? Like, why are they so scared of getting like throwing upsets in there? I don't care. My bracket, you'll see, dude, because we'll probably be in a bracket together, that thing he just sent out. I throw upsets out there because it's what happens.
I'm the same way. The same way.
Bro, why do they act like it's going to be 4 1 seeds? Has that ever even happened? Like, probably once. It never happens.
I think I saw a statistic yesterday that said if you're coming in as a 1 seed, only one has
Usually
one has won the national championship as a 1 seed in the last few years.
Yeah, it's like, you see it every year. Kentucky lost to St. Peter's last year. Kentucky, the most storied program in the history of college basketball, with the crowd being 99% Kentucky fans, 1% St. Peter's fans, and they got their ass whooped by Doug Etter.
Doug Etter, that is right.
Bro, anything happens in college. It's crazy. That's why it's college. The NBA is where you get the 1 seed, makes it to the finals. It's what happens. The NBA is the best team wins because you got to beat a team 7 times, obviously, or 4 times out of 7. College, you have to beat them 1 game. Anything can happen in 1 game. Everybody knows that. Like, hell. Like, anything can happen in 1 game. That's why college is so fun. And I just get tired. I had to go on a little rant because I get tired of seeing that bullshit where people are like, yep, Jay Wright yesterday on CBS. All right, I got Kansas, Alabama, Houston, and Purdue in my Final Four. Just like the other guy who just went. Like, just like Clark Kellogg who just went. You guys have the same Final Fours, and maybe you'll sprinkle in a little, I don't know, Texas in there. Or Gonzaga. Jay Wright picked Gonzaga to win it all. What a terrible prediction.
Yeah, I will say this. You cannot sleep on any of the outside of Kansas as the 1 seed. You cannot sleep on any of the Big 12 teams, whether it is
they are
West
good.
Virginia as an
Baylor.
8 seed.
Baylor is a legit 3 seed. Don't be scared of Baylor. Be scared of West Virginia.
And then you look down, you got Texas at a 2 seed on the opposite side of the bracket. And then you're also looking down like, the Big 12 is going to make some runs, dude.
Exactly. And then you got fraudulent-ass teams like freaking St. Mary's. They're not making a run. I hate to break it to you. Freaking, I'm going to say this, and then St. Mary's, we're going to be back here on Monday, and St. Mary's just won by 30, 2 straight games, and they're in the Sweet 16, and Kentucky lost in the first round. I'm going to be crying in shambles. Dude, no, but it's just like
Logan Johnson and
I might not be here on the podcast Monday if that happens, but I don't know if I could face it. Dude, but I don't know. It really frustrates me when I see people like put the same, like they act like upsets don't happen. Like, dude, yes they do.
Dude, we watched Villanova win the national championship on a literal buzzer beater.
They're just, there's like the talking heads on TV and stuff are so scared of like calling an upset and then that team loses by 30 that they just don't do it. And it's like, come on, man. Like, have some fun with it.
Yeah, no, I'm there with you. That's why it's called March. That's why it's called March Madness.
Literally,
Madness happens here, baby.
Bro, that never happens. I just don't get it. It's so stupid in my opinion, and I just had to get off my chest because it really annoys me. It really does. It's a trigger for me. But yeah, after that rant's out of the way, hope you guys did enjoy this episode of the At Large Bid. Me and Neil are here to give you everything college basketball. You want to go Thursday? No, games will be I don't know. We can go Thursday or Saturday morning. I'd say we could go Thursday morning and recap the play-in games.
I'm down for it. Let's do it.
Let's do it before the games Thursday then. We'll go Thursday morning. Is that cool?
That works for me.
All right, we'll be here Thursday morning. We might end up be doing like 3 episodes a week right now just because it's the tournament. Like at least for the first week of the tournament because there's just going to be games every single day.
There's going to be games pumping out. I'm
ready.
So
we might have to go like Monday, like today, Thursday, Saturday, Monday again.
I'm there. Let's rock it out. Let's give these guys what they want.
Exactly. Really good tournament. bracket set up like we were talking about. Like we think this is a really balanced tournament. I really think that, and I think a sleeper team is going to make a run. But this was an episode of At Large Bid. I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did and you are on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to the channel down below. Like the video as well. That really helps us out a lot, pushes this content out to more and more people. Follow us on Twitter. Our socials are down below in the description. Neil Meyer and Parker Fields, and we are out.